girl felt into. A year and a day. That feels like a really long time. What would her family think? How would her friends think about her disappearance? She would miss the children growing up. But she knew that if she went outside that she would not survive the night. And so she stepped forward to the woman and she said, a year and a day I can give you. And so the woman gave her a deer skin and a bowl of soup. It was that night that the girl did not dream. She felt the darkness of the cave imbue her body and soul. And that morning she woke up to a bowl of oats. And the woman said to her, the work that we'll be doing together is gathering the herbs. Gathering the herbs so we can lay it across the fire. And if you see that crack right at the edge of the mountain, if you go through there, there'll be a meadow. A meadow of thyme, a meadow of meadow sweet, a meadow of lavender and rosemary. And I ask that you gather them up and we place them by the fire. And so the girl gathered her things and she went out of the crack of the cave and began to gather. Again, like the blueberry, she felt herself being lost in the gathering and the preparing. She lost herself as she felt the thyme and rosemary imbue her fingers. Breathing deeply into the sacred herb. And so this is how she filled her day, going into the meadow, gathering the herbs, laying them by the fire and letting them imbue the potion that the old woman was stirring on the fireside. And every day the deer would come and she would milk the deer and mix it in her pot. She'd mix it once, she'd mix it twice, and on the thrice time that she would mix it, it would curdle and turn hard. It would then that the old lady would gather the curdle and mold it in her hand. She then passed it to her husband, who would sit by the pool and gaze into the shapes and the depths of the waters, the ancient primordial waters that weave in you and weave in me. And as he gazed upon the pool of shapes of ancient times, of mountains, of rivers, of beaches, of rocks, he began to create shapes with this curd and lay them by the poolside. And as the dusk would set, as the sun would begin to fall, a golden light would come through the cave and land onto these shapes. It was then that the birds of prey, of hawk, of buzzard, would swoop into the cave and gather these shapes and forms. And they would take them up and out into the sky, into the night sky. And the girl was curious, what were we making? What were we creating? These shapes from deer, these shapes from water, these shapes from fire, of earth, of soil, of sacred elements. What were we creating in this cave of darkness and cave of light? She kept this question in her body and in her being as she was still preparing and collecting and serving the old woman and man. And then a feeling that did not come from her mind but came from the soles of her feet, a feeling that swept her knees and her legs and her belly and her chest and into her heart. And she felt into what they were creating together, what her and the deer and the cave, the primordial waters and the fire, what they were creating in this cauldron. For she felt into the cauldron of dreams, the cauldron of weaving dreams into being, into visions. And as the man created these shapes, dreams of eros, dreams of bliss, dreams of pain, dreams of suffering, dreams of expansion and dreams of contraction, he would create them all. Create them and allow the birds of flight to take them up into the heavens and to scatter them into all the souls around the world. And this girl felt good and strong in her heart, that she was slipping into sleep with the old man and the old woman and the dreams and the fire and the curdle and the herbs, for she had found the cauldron of dreams. And what a powerful place she felt, to feel into this dream space, to be part of the creating, to be part of the imbuing into the hearts and the souls of all around. And so she found herself feeling into each day of dreaming big, and dreaming small, and dreaming wide, and dreaming micro. And then it came to the time that the woman went up to her in a different way. Not a way of guiding her to the meadow, but a way of completion. And she said to the girl, "It has been a year and a day, and it's now your time." The girl had forgotten at that point what she meant, for she had been so immersed and lost between finger and thumb, between thyme and rosemary, between the fire and the primordial waters. And then she realized that her time was done. It was time to go back into the community, back into the land. And so one of the deers came and collected her from the depths of the cave and took her out. Down they went, down the mountain. But instead of going back to the community, they led her down to the shore. She had been so long since she'd seen the waters, and she ran out to them. But the deer seemed to be holding her, stopping her, waiting for something. It was then that she saw on the edge of the horizon a boat that was coming down and weaving to the golden shore. And out that boat stepped a beautiful prince, a prince with jewels and a crown. And he said, "I've been dreaming of you. I've been dreaming of you on a year and a day, and I'm here to take you as my queen, for I will love you deeply, and you can help me rule my land." The woman looked at him. She saw his face and his shoulders and his crown and his jewels, and knew that he came from a place of wealth and love. But she had not dreamed of him. But when she looked into his eyes, she noticed the primordial waters. She could even smell the thyme and the meadow sweet upon him, and she knew that this was her beloved. But she said to him, "I've been with an old man and an old woman for a year and a day, and I wish to go back to my family, to share them of my time, and to reconnect, to share of my dreams and my visions back into my community. I have asked that you come back in a year and a day, and I will marry you." And so the king went back out onto the water, and the deer led her back to her community. They were overjoyed to see her. They could see the dreams in her eyes and the dreams in her heart, the dreams in her body. And she began to weave and tell them stories of the mountainside. But she also noticed, as she tried to share her excitement and her big, deep dreams, her words seemed to blur, and she couldn't seem to quite crystallize. She couldn't seem to quite bring them into form. But still, she was happy that she was with her family and her community, and she could share what she could. And so it came to that time of a year and a day when she knew that she wanted to go back to the shores. She bade her family goodbye, and she was led back to the shores to meet her king. She watched the sun go up, and the moon began to come out, and the stars twinkling. It was there at the horizon that she saw the vessel coming towards her. And the man stepped out and he said, "I am here to make you my queen." And there she gladly accepted and went onto his boat. And there they went back to his lands. And as her feet touched the soil and as the crown went onto her head, she began to share and vision her dreams. It was there that she shared the ways of connecting with the deer, of connecting with the heart, to the community. She could find that her words were crystallized, they were rooted, and she could share all that she dreamed and all that she visioned. And so the land began to be imbued with wisdom of dreaming